Now, it's 9:03 and today has been called Walkout Wednesday, isn't it? It's the biggest day of industrial action in over a decade, with over 7 million children expected to miss lessons today. Now, as 85% of English and Welsh state schools are expected to close their doors, we're not quite sure yet. The Daily Mail, you wouldn't be surprised to know, is calling it a cynical walkout that betrays our children, while The Guardian warns that talks are going backwards. I'm joined now by primary school teacher Lee Parkinson. Now, he's also known to millions as Mr P on Tik Tok. He's one of those striking today, and we've got Mumsnet founder Justine Roberts, who says that parents, well, it's safe to say parents are very divided on how they feel this morning. If I can start with you, Mr P. Lee, lots of confusion, lots and lots of confusion over this, but tell us, why have you decided enough is enough, and you personally, why you're going on strike?
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's a sad day that teachers have got to this where they're deciding to strike, and it's not an easy decision for any teacher. And I'm sure plenty of people have seen that pay is an issue for a lot of teachers, and we're in a situation now where 1 in 10 teachers work a second job. You've got teaching assistants who play such a vital role leaving because they make more money stacking shelves. But when I was asking a lot of my followers on Instagram what's the main reason why they're choosing to strike, so many of them chose workload and just general funding in education over pay. And that's why I think we've got one of the worst retention rates in teaching, because until you're actually working in education, I don't think you truly appreciate the stress and the pressure that teachers are under. And you're looking at a third of teachers now leaving the profession within the first 3 years. Just over half of teachers are seriously considering leaving teaching. The government missed their recruitment target by 25%. And, you know, when it comes to the government, you'll get whichever Ed Secretary we've got that week. And it's worrying we've had more education secretaries over the past year than I've got glue sticks in my class. But they come out with, you know, teachers are great, they're superheroes, it's a vocation. And that's just gaslighting teachers to expect them to do more with less. So you've got that issue of the underfunding, the workload, the pressure and scrutiny teachers are under because of the likes of Ofsted, where teachers are now working on average between 50 to 60 hours a week. And teachers don't mind working hard. You know, we're hard-working people. If we know the work we're doing is going to have a direct impact on the children in class. But so much of what's expected is more about proving that we're doing the job, because there's such a lack of trust in teachers as a profession. And alongside that, you know, behaviour issues in certain schools, abuse teachers get from some parents. It's just made teachers feel like they are just complete and utter failures, like nothing they do is ever good enough, and the impact that can have on your mental health. So the Education Support Partnership, a mental health charity created to support teachers, are reporting that they're now getting 7 calls a day on average from teachers who are suicidal.
So they're at breaking
and primary
point.
school teachers'
Yeah.
suicide rate's nearly double. And that...
God, that's horrendous, absolutely horrendous. I mean, Justine, we know during the pandemic that we all suddenly found this even greater respect for teachers when we had to actually homeschool. A lot of people were homeschooling. And that all seems to have fizzled out in the same way that we were clapping nurses, and that all seems to have fizzled out too. I think from your experience, obviously, with Mumsnet, are parents pretty divided over this, or would you say a lot of them, most of them, the majority, are behind the teachers?
Well, actually, it splits about 2/3 to 1/3.
Does it?
2/3 supportive of the strikes. Not because, I mean, parents are disrupted by this. There's no question.
Of course, there'll be people not being able to go to their work today.
Loads of it. So around over half of our users say they will have to work from home or take paid or unpaid leave. So it's disruptive, and they think their kids' education will be disruptive. But what's more disruptive, I think, are the stories we've seen over the course of the last, really, especially over the course of the last 6 to 12 months, of many classes not having the specialist teachers they need, particularly at secondary level, in specialist subjects. So if your child is doing GCSEs, they're doing GCSE chemistry, and they're constantly having supply teachers because they can't recruit a chemistry teacher, that's much more disruptive than the odd day of strikes. So I think there is quite a lot of sympathy for this underfunding argument. Now, if you look at the comments on the boards, it's not so much that there's great support for teachers getting a 12% pay rise. Everyone wants a 12% pay rise, and we all understand times are tough. But it's more about this chronic underfunding that is leading to systemic problems with kids and their education. And that's what parents are really worried about.
No, absolutely. And I know, again, You know, Lee, there's huge support for you, but you know you always get the accusation levied at you, oh, come on, you stop at 4 o'clock and you've got 12 weeks holiday and all of that. And of course, you don't stop at 4 o'clock. It's not like that. I know, I can see in your wee face, but you know that's the argument that's always directed at teachers, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's just so frustrating because teaching should be the best job in the world. It's so rewarding, the impact that you can have on young people, but due to the underfunding and things like Ofsted, it's almost like to do that job and you have to sacrifice your own well-being, your own mental health, your own relationship with your family and friends. And the thing is, with any issue we're facing as a society, it's schools that pick up the pieces. So with the cost of living crisis, teachers are seeing how that's impacting our children. So I had a story from a teacher who noticed one of her children getting her lunch and putting half of it in a pocket to keep for later. And some teachers having to stop off at a shop in the morning on their way to school to buy breakfast for some of their pupils because they know some of the children wouldn't have had a meal since the previous lunchtime. So we see the impact, and we know, as a parent myself, I know I want my children to be in school, but at the same time, I want my children to go and be in a class where they've got a TA in every classroom rather than one in the whole school. I want them to have a teacher for a whole year and build those relationships rather than 10 in a year because of the constant turnover of staff. I want children to go to secondary schools and be taught maths by a maths teacher, not a qualified PE teacher. You know, we want these. So yeah, short term it is disruptive, and I completely understand how difficult that can be for some parents, but I hope and appreciate the support we're getting to see how we need to fix this problem long term, to just give our children, who deserve it, given everything that they've been through, you know, the sort of resilience they've shown, they deserve to have the best possible education. And so I hope people can get behind teachers, trust that we know what's best and that we're campaigning to get the best possible education for our children.
Lee, thank you. As you say, it has been a bit of a merry-go-round of education secretaries, hasn't it? I would love to think that whoever is in the job right now at the moment would listen to you. You're making perfect sense. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. Let me just tell you, we've been running our own poll this morning asking if you support the teachers striking. 49% say yes completely. 23% of you are saying yep, but it's frustrating. 28% only said no, it is a bit of a nightmare. That very much reflects what the Mumsnet, you know, your members are saying to you.
It does, but I would also say there is a certain amount of frustration that a lot of parents haven't found out whether their school's going to be closed. Well, they won't find out till this morning.
Yes.
And that seems like a basic thing for schools to fix.
Absolutely.
My own school, we found out a few days ago, so I could make arrangements. But why can't schools know beforehand and give parents some notice? Because if you're trying to arrange childcare or take time off work, you know, you need a bit of notice.
That makes no sense at all. No. Thank you for being here. I mean, the government right now, they're not negotiating with nurses, paramedics, railway workers. Hopefully they will start to do that, and hopefully they'll start to do that. And actually, tomorrow, we've just been talking about this, Education Secretary Gillian Keegan, she joins me tomorrow, so we'll put all of these points to her.